Good, whatever time of day it is that you're joining me today. Welcome to Consequences of Communication Podcast, episode 5. We're already 5 episodes in. This is Building Relationships, Best Friends. My name is Tyler. I'm going to be your host as usual. As we go through to determine what qualities best friends have and what makes a best friend and, why we would actually need to have a best friend, we need to ask ourselves a very important question. Out of all the friends on your list, or, the first friend that comes to your mind when I ask this question, when I say, who comes to mind when I ask, who is your best friend? Immediately. No second guessing, no well, they are a friend, but they're not a best friend. I like this person more. No, that first person that pops in your head, that is your best friend. The next question, as I think is a phenomenal phenomenal quality of a best friend, is what secrets of yours do they hold, if any? And what secrets of theirs do you hold, if any? Like, if they're not holding on to your secrets and you're not holding on to their secrets, then they're probably not your best friend. I want you to think about that while we go through today's podcast. Friends are great to have in general. Wouldn't you agree? I agree. I like having friends. I like my friends. I like my best friends. And then I really like my best friends. I mean, I'm just kind of making it up and being kind of facetious right now. But I call it my best friends, I call having a seat at my table. And we'll get into that a little bit more as we go on as well. So friends are great to have in general, but having best friends are astounding. Putting it in another way, best friends are like a good steak dinner, while best friends are the prime steak you get at a specific steak restaurant, like the high class, like 5-star, like made by Gordon Ramsay. So friends are like, you go to Outback, be like, I want a steak. However you order it, and if it's more cooked than medium, you are wrong. And might as well just have beef jerky. But then you go to, that's friends. And then you have best friends, which is like Gordon Ramsay. He's going to give you, like, the best of the best of the best of the best steak, right? That's the difference of quality between a friend and a best friend. The first thing that we're going to really get into is really the qualities that best friends should have. So I'm going to list them out, and then we're going to kind of go through them one by one. So the qualities that they should have, that best friends should have: they should be able to lie for you. They should be able to cheat for you. They should be able to steal for you. They should backstab you all the time. And they should just be like completely shady and unreliable. Right? That's the quality of it. No, that is not the qualities of a best friend. That is the qualities of a horrible person that you should not be friends with. You shouldn't be best friends with this kind of person anyway, let alone friends. Like, the qualities that I just listed off are qualities of people that you don't want in your life. Remember, we're trying to better ourselves, right? We're looking to the future of, here's where I currently am, here's where I want to go, right? With the self-talk and self-analysis, as we talked in episodes 2 and 3, self-talk and building relationships self. So off those, we have our goal set in mind of where we want to go. We need to make sure that the people that we have around us, especially the people that we consider our best friends, actually line up with those goals and will help us achieve those and help us keep accountable and give us the motivation that we need when we lack the motivation. Otherwise, they're just holding you down. They're anchors weighing you down in the sea and allowing you not to move when the skies are clear and the sea is calm. Right? Those are that defeats the entire purpose of a ship, right? And that's why ship is in friendship or best friendships, right? I'm being kind of silly right now, but whatever. So the actual qualities that you should have that are actually the opposite of the ones that I just listed are loyalty, integrity, honesty. I mean, even if I just stopped right there, that's key elements for best friends. But continuing on, kindness, respect, trustworthiness, got your back, right? So the qualities of best friend: integrity or loyalty. So they're loyal to you. Like if somebody's talking bad about you behind your back, they're going to listen to it. They're going to put it out. And this kind of goes back, got your back. They're going to stand up for you. They're going to counter that person's argument. And then they're probably going to tell you like, hey, this person was talking bad about you. They're probably not somebody that you want in your life. And you would do the same for them. Right. So these are kind of reciprocal of qualities that your best friend should have and qualities that you should have specifically with your best friend. But in general, these are really nice to have. Integrity. My dad told me growing up, integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is looking. Standing up for a friend when your friend isn't there, but somebody's talking smack, you stand up for your friend. Honesty. Honesty, you'll find out that honesty is repeated throughout this series if you haven't figured that out already. But honesty is fantastic. Like one of the things I go to, and this was also with my mindset of trying to trust people again after my second divorce. Or, even when I'm trying to like move to a new area and trying to make friends and like encouraging myself and like prepping myself up so I can actually go and talk and do these, like go and talk and make friends and do these things, is a quote from Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. Captain Jack Sparrow says it. Have I given you a reason not to trust me? Going back to the loyalty, integrity, honesty, like all of those, I'd rather lose out if it's like a business deal or something or a relationship. I would rather lose out on that and maintain my loyal friend who has my back and who's honest and all of that. Kindness. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody likes being talked to kindly, right? Nobody likes like, hey, you're a piece of crap that can't do anything. Like you don't like, why are you even working here? Why do you even bother breathing? Like, that attitude, like nobody likes that. Nobody likes that. But kindness, you're also going, if you're kind to somebody, that opens it up for them to be kind to everybody else, for a relationship to actually be like a relationship, meaning into friendship, best friendship, maybe even dating, starts with kindness. And with kindness, just like we talked about with introducing yourself, you stand up, you put a smile on, look them in the eye, give them a firm handshake, not like a death grip, but like a firm handshake of like, hey, yes, my name is Tyler. What's your name? That's kind. That's a kindness. That's what's accepted in the like business world, which is also, that's just accepted in the world in general to introduce yourself. That is a kindness. So they know what to call you and you know what to call them, instead of like, hey man, like I don't remember your name, but I'm using man because you're a dude that hopefully identifies as a dude and won't snap at me. Or hey lady, in the book I mentioned last week, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Daniel Carnegie, who's the author, and this book has been around for almost a century, if not more, especially in its earliest forms, and it describes that through the book. There's a specific chapter in there that says saying a person's name is the sweetest sound they can hear. So a kindness is remembering people's names. And if you have problems with people's names, I'm raising my hand for those of you who are listening on the audio only format. Like I had problems memorizing names. I still kind of do, but there's a couple different techniques to remember or to start putting into practice so you can remember people's names. Hello, my name is Tyler. Oh, hi Tyler. I'm glad you're here. What brings you here? Oh, that's a really interesting story, Tyler. Like you re-emphasize their name a couple of times in the first few minutes of you meeting them, so then it starts getting like it's an impression that's said over and over and over again. So you get that, and it's also another, I want to call it pro tip or whatever tip in general, is when you're talking to them, if you want to remember their name, correlate them to something interesting they said. Which is why I was stressing when you introduce yourself and start talking to people about those interesting statements, because that gets you the impression in their mind of asking, Hey, that dude that asked really unique questions. What was their name? What question did they ask? Oh, it was this. It was Tyler that asked this question. Like they'll remember that a little bit more. And doing that is also a kindness, allowing them to speak, being interested and showing interest in their life. That in itself is a kindness. Respect is a huge thing too. Like that's the next thing on the list is respect. Respect is kind of like a mutual understanding in the best possible way. Like I really enjoy their company, their character, the quality of life that they bring to other people. So I respect them in some form or fashion. Or like my favorite band, Skillet. I respect Skillet for the message they keep singing about and they stand for, and they're reaching people. They're fulfilling their godly mission, their purpose that God has given them. It's fantastic. I really enjoy that. I love it when people do actually operate in their gifts. I also respect my pastor, my direct leadership, my life group, my small groups, my boss at work. I respect his authority over me. I respect my God, my belief system. I respect Jesus. That's part of my belief system. You know, like that's like respectful is showing them a courtesy too. It's kind of hard and difficult to explain, but I know that y'all are smart enough to understand what I'm saying with respect. And then trustworthiness is, can I trust you with my secrets? Can I not trust you with my secrets? And that's really built up over time. It takes a long time to build up and an instant to break. And once it's broken, you can't put it back together. Best thing I've seen is somebody having a plate, and it's the plate of trust, like a glass or a ceramic plate. It's a ceramic plate. So they have a ceramic plate and they hold it, and or they hand it to somebody, and I'm trusting, or I hand it the plate to you. I am trusting you with my plate. Hold this plate. And then you hold the plate, and then you get distracted and you drop the plate. The plate was trust, and you dropped the trust, shattering it. You say you're sorry to the plate for dropping it, but that doesn't put the plate back together. That's the same thing with trust. Once it's broken, it's going to be nearly impossible to repair. And it's really not worth the effort. Even though the trust was broken, you're never going to be to a spot where you can be. For example, my two ex-wives, I currently have no problem with them. I really don't have any issues with my ex-wives. I worked through that with my personal issues with the situations that happened. I wish them the best. I really hope they end up finding Jesus, loving the Lord, serving their life. If not, if they don't find that, that's fine. That's their choice. I wish them the happiness and success that they want out of this life. I'm not bitter about them just because they hurt me. I wish them to the worst possible. No, I'm not that kind of person. We broke each other's trust. It was too hard for us to put that trust back together, because you're not starting at acquaintances or strangers. You're starting at, as far as level of trust goes, you're not starting with strangers. You're starting at like an enemy level trust. So if trust is a scale and it's like, hey, here's the trust with maximum, like trust is full, and then this is like trust is empty, is basically where my mic is at, which is about halfway through. And then on the other side of that, with the same distance, you have enemy. Well, when you break trust in a relationship, especially a marriage, or at least mine through my experiences, I was basically an enemy. They were basically an enemy. And then, so you have to work the trust from the enemy all the way up to just being a stranger, and then continue to build that trust again. And that is a very, 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 very long process. So just don't break the trust. That's the easiest thing. Don't break the trust. And if, just don't. And if you do, own up to it. Hey man, like, I know you trusted me with this plate. I'm sorry. Like, unfortunately, I got distracted. I dropped a plate. It's my fault that that I dropped the plate. That is the best way to handle it. Don't compile your transgressions against an individual or don't compound your sins or the the damage to the trust that's already there by lying, by trying to hide it, by not talking to him about it, just not playing the ostrich, like sticking your hand in the ground hoping the danger goes away. That's not how this works. The best way to do it is just own up to your mistakes. It works out a lot better. And then the last one is you got my back. I want my best friends to have my back. When I'm not in the room, I want to be assured that they got my back, that they're going to defend me, or they're looking out for the what's best for me. Now, and there's a difference between them talking and spreading rumors behind my back, which is just through a maliciousness of if I tell them something in confidence, for example, a crush. I have a crush on Anne Hathaway. She's a celebrity. It's probably never, like, it's not going to work out. Like, I understand that, they understand it. But if they go around and saying like, "Hey, can you believe Tyler has a crush on Anne Hathaway?" That's never going to work out. Like, how could he do that? Like, he's overweight, out of shape, and not famous, and not financially free, working on his own stuff. Like, spreading rumors and maliciousness like that. That's malicious attack. Like, but on the flip side, so those are friends you don't want. Those are things that you don't want. But on the flip side of that, if I'm like, "Hey man, I have a crush on Anne Hathaway," and they're like, "Okay, like that's great that you have a crush on her. Now, how are you going to get in contact with her and stuff and whatever?" But then when I leave the room and they're like, "Hey, can you believe that Tyler has a crush on Anne Hathaway? That is amazing. That is awesome." And they try to like, how do we get in contact with Anne Hathaway and stuff like this to start doing this, to make it happen, or to make, give it a chance, or like help encourage me because they got my back. I mean, that's ridiculous, but that's an example. That's a ridiculous example, but it's absolutely true. Like that's hopefully that illustrates enough for y'all, and I'm positive it does, about the difference between a malicious friends like talking behind your back or people that are legitimately trying to help you and not really spreading your business, because there's a difference. And like all of these qualities may sound like that's what you should have in a regular friend. And you're right. You should have these in a regular friend. But in a best friend, best friends go above and beyond and about everything. So I saw this meme a while ago, and I find it to be mostly true. It's a 4-panel comic, and I was going to mention this earlier, but this is a really good time for me to mention it. And this is what I was saying earlier about how I don't believe men and women can be friends once either of them are in a relationship. So the first panel, and why women are so prone to trying to have guy friends, which I understand. I don't agree with them if they actually try to have guy friends, because that's just not a good combination. But in the first panel, it's guys hanging around, guys hanging out, guys' night. They're hanging around, they're giving each other a hard time. Like, you would get, if you were to see people, I'll give you another quick example. I went with one of my best friends to a small group, and we were the first people there at my other friend's house. As people showed up, like me and my best friend, we were we were bantering back and forth just for the fun of it. And then a couple of people came in and they're like, "Hey, do you guys know each other?" And it's like, "Yeah, he's my best friend." And he's like, "Oh, that's good, because I was gonna say you guys either don't know each other at all or you're best friends." That kind of thing. So you're bantering back and forth, giving each other a hard time, seemingly putting each other down. But that's all good and fun for guys. But then when we go our separate ways, I will defend him, and I have defended him, and he's defended me when I'm not there, and I've defended him when he's not here. Like, he is a really good guy, and that's the second panel. Is they're separated. Hey, this is a really good guy. Yeah, he's pretty cool. But women, on the other hand, on this panel, and the third one was they're together. Oh, that's so good. Like, all the niceties and saving face and all that. And then they go separate, and she's like, "Oh yeah, tell me about this person, or your best friend." Oh, you don't want to be best friends with it. Like, you don't want to be friends with them at all because they're horrible people. Like, that's the difference between men and women. Obviously, I can only really speak from experience and through my own experiences with the guy side. But what I've observed limitedly from the women's side, that's pretty true too, which is really unfortunate. Because if you do have friends like that, they're not really your best friends. Wouldn't you rather have somebody that really encourages behind your, like other people behind your back to be friends with you instead of discouraging them of being friends and encouraging them to stay away and keep their distance. I'd rather have people out, like my best friends, being like, hey, this dude's a really cool guy. He's upstanding. He's smart, intelligent, reliable. He's trustworthy. He's respectful. He's overflowing with kindness. Like those things are things that I would love my friends to say about me behind my back to other people. And I really hope they don't start doing this because I'm mentioning it on this podcast, but it'd be really funny if they did. I'm not calling you guys out or anything, but that's the kind of that's the quality of friends that I surround myself with, best friends that I surround myself around. The next thing, and this is going to be kind of weird, this is beneficial in my opinion to actually think about this. Is a friendship going to be mutually beneficial? And this is really also just a friendship, not a best friendship only, but friendship, best friend, kind of both. Is it going to be mutually beneficial? Meaning, am I going to give about the same as my friend is going to give me? Am I going to give to my friend what they're going to give from me? And are they going to give me what I'm giving to them? Like that same amount, just different. Because if we give the same thing, like, oh, I got you the DVD 25th anniversary edition of Rocky Mountain Horror Picture Show. I've never seen that movie. It's the first movie that came to mind. Because Chris, that's one of his favorite movies. And he's told me to see it, but I can't bring myself to watch it. But then then whoever I give that gift to, they give me the same thing. Like that's lame. Like I would rather give like that 25th anniversary edition of Rocky Mountain Horror Picture Show to my buddy Chris, and I would rather him get me like the 50th anniversary edition of Monty Python and the Holy Grail or something, because I enjoy Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and I don't enjoy Rocky Mountain Horror Picture Show. Though I've never seen it, I know about it, don't want to watch it. But that's what I mean about being mutually beneficial. Are we just giving and taking the same thing? But I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say. But it's definitely something of a challenge to kind of look through and think through. But it's not only, hey, I enjoy spending time with them. It's, hey, I enjoy spending time with them. Are they going to be a benefit or a hindrance on my life journey? Because this is where it kind of gets a little bit selfish. And there is room for some of this other stuff later, a mentor-mentee relationship, on what that kind of looks like from the mentee standpoint and the mentor standpoint later, after I kind of go through the steps of a relationship and friendship. About mutually beneficial is, have you ever had someone in your life where they give you a call and you look at it and you're like, oh, I really don't want to talk to them. They just drain the life out of me. I hate it when there's a couple names pop up on my phone. I mean, they're no longer friends, but I hate it when they would have popped up on my phone. And it was just like we're no longer friends, not because I was like, hey, we're no longer friends. It was just, I'm not going to contact them. They're going to contact me. If they don't contact me, that's fine. The friendship's done, over, cool. I can move on with my life. It's better to cut that friendship off, or that relationship off, with an understanding that, hey, you're where I'm going in life and where you're going in life, or where you're staying in life, it's not compatible, and I can no longer be your friend. I can no longer be in your life in the same capacity that I am currently. I have to lessen my capacity, however you want to say it, however cordially you want to say it. Hey, we're no longer friends. If I drop a friend, it's usually because there's something between the friendship that they did to me or I did to them that we can't come back to terms, that trust was broken on some level, and we can't come back to terms. One of my friends recently, ex-friends recently, during like the breakup friend text or message, I was like, hey, here's what you did wrong. Here's what you, here's what you did wrong. This is why it was hurtful and painful. This is how you can reconcile. Specifically, how you can reconcile, because I don't want to just call people out on anything without having hey, this is how we can reconcile, and this is how we can get back to where we were. There's that path, so that's going to be open, at least for a little bit. I don't know how long that's going to be open for, but it's really on them. Anyway, unfortunately, with that friendship, that was a friendship that was holding me back. That was a friendship that was taking up too much of my time, thought process, and energy. And as soon as I ended the friendship, I found myself being really, 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 really bored mentally because I'm an overthinker. And I realized that I thought about the situation, like the good times that we had together. Like we played video games a lot together. We played board games, tabletop games, those games. We hung out. We were friends. But we started with playing video games and stuff like that. And, it was a good time. So I was like, hey, these were really good times. I kind of miss my friend now. But I didn't realize how much of my mental capacity was being taken up overthinking those or thinking about those situations that we had good times, the situations that were, and how that developed into the situation that it did to cause us to no longer be friends, and how to repair that friendship. So once I got rid of all of that, I was freed up to do so much other stuff. And I started this podcast. It was like 5 months later. So I started this podcast. I'm doing research into other things and side hustles to better myself, to get further ahead in life to where I want to go and where I'm trying to be. And I'm trying to gain those skills as an individual to be able to be the person to gain where I need to be. I hope all of that makes sense. I try to explain it as clearly as I could, or just a little bit more clarity on the time frame, because I don't know about the time frame with my ex friend about how long I'm going to leave that road open for him. I'm not going to check back in with them. I'm putting it on them to get in contact with me if they want to. But how things ended, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. But again, I'm still leaving that there. Now, it just depends. It's a case-by-case basis. We were friends for 3 months. I'm probably not going to leave it open for very long because we've only been hanging out for 3 months and you've only been friends for 3 months. So I'm probably going to leave it open for a couple weeks maybe, or leave that path open. Me and my ex-friend have been friends for, I don't know, like 3 years, two and a half, 3 years, something like that. And we spent a lot of time together. There's really like a non-romantic relational tie there. So like you have friends, you're like, hey, I have a best friend, or I have a friend that I've known since grade school. I have that relationship. I value this friendship, this relational tie. It's one of those kind of things. It's no longer like fly like an eagle. I think about it every night and day. I just decided to spread my wings and fly away. The time really just depends on you, but don't really. The way I think about it is, or the way I would encourage you to think about it, because it's helped me, is if you end a friendship, yes, leave a path open, but don't count on them taking it. If they do take it, be pleasantly surprised. Just end the friendship. Say, here's the path to reconciliation. For us to be, so reconciliation is here's the path to reconcile. Here, could also be said as here's the path to, for us, for our relationship, whatever our relationship looks like, to become like it was before. That's the path of reconciliation. That's that. So however long that path is open on a case-by-case basis, but don't count on them taking it. Why? Because humans are very distractible. We get distracted a lot. I do. I get distracted a lot. Like, I'm looking here. This is a new camera angle. But straight ahead where the camera was, there is... I do this in my kitchen. This is my breakfast bar. With a green screen behind me, because I'm definitely not in like by this cliffside outside with people just holding in this position here, helping each other up a cliff. But straight across from me, there's an outlet, and this is about distractions. So it's kind of a rabbit trail, but not really. But there's like, and I noticed this earlier, and it's like kind of starting to irritate me because on the faceplate, instead of the flathead screw being level, like, because it's not an outlet that's vertical, it's a horizontal outlet, so the outlets are side by side instead of one above the other, and the flathead screw is at like it's not straight up and down, and it's not side to side, it's halfway in between that on one side. And I looked over to my left at another outlet, and that's a GCI, which has two flathead screws, and those are just flat. So it's kind of like, the distraction is like, okay, I need to fix that, but I'm doing this, so I'm not going to go up and fix it and then come back to this because whatever. Anyway, that's distractions. So that's why you don't leave it open for so long, because just like I went on a slight distraction rant with the flathead screws, you don't want to leave that open forever. You don't want them to continue to take up your mind space, your emotional and mental capacity to come back and try to restore a friendship that's already broken on some level, or a relationship, a romantic relationship that's destroyed on some level. It's really on them. So why worry about what they're doing? You can't control them. I don't want to control anybody else. I have a hard enough time controlling myself. So just to give you an idea, like some of my best friends, some of them I talk to like a couple times a week. Some of them I talk to once a month. Some of them I talk to a couple times a year. Sometimes I talk to one of my best friends I talk to like once every year. And it's usually around the holidays because we live kind of far away. They have a really busy life. I understand that. I'll go through hard times because life is hard. Life sucks sometimes. But typically, when you embrace the suck, that's like on the other side of that's when greatness happens. So do that. But it makes it a lot easier to go through to embrace the suck if you have friends to help you out through those times. It is the habits that are formed out of those hard times that can reestablish what your normal behavior is. When you have a best friend, like you're willing to go through them to thick and thin, right? The good times and the bad times. I like helping people. That's just part of who I am, who I'm like, that's where I derive some of my joy from, is helping people out. If people are going through hard times, I'm like, okay, what do you need? Okay, you don't have groceries? Cool. I'm going to get you groceries. It's probably not what you want, but we're going to make sure that you get fed. That's just me. But if somebody's going through hard time after hard time after hard time after hard time after hard time with like very little good times happening, and they always rely on you, and it ends up hurting you in the long run or short term, like and it's just continuously hurting you in the short term. Like this month, it's hurting me in the short term to help this person. Next month, it's hurting me in the short term to help this person again. In the short term, the month after, it's hurting me in the short term to help them. Okay, well, obviously my help isn't working. They're looking for a hand out, which is not something that you want in a friend. You want to make sure that your friend is looking for a hand up, which means, hey, I fell on hard times. Please help me out so I can get back up on my feet, instead of just, hey, I'm sitting down in the gutter. Help me. Give me food. Give me food. Oh, yeah, I need some water, but not that water. Can you give me another one? There would be that conversation. What isn't working? How can I help you out? Obviously, what you're doing isn't working. Let's explain the situation to me so we can get you the help that you need. Or if I can help you out, then fine, cool. But, that's just a situation by situation basis. But I'm still more than willing to help out. But when they continue to help out, that's when it becomes more of a hindrance. And that's when you got to reevaluate the friendship or best friendship. You got to look at it. So they're relying on me way too much. You are now hindering my life and my growth to such an extent we can no longer be friends. It's like they overstayed their welcome to like the 10th degree. Why would you want a best friend? Well, if you didn't pick up the hints along the way, let me spell it out for you. No man or woman is an island. You do not go through life by yourself. We, as a species, as a human species, or as the human race, we are a social species. Unless you're some like weird outlier, but then you're still going to get depressed because you need some social aspect on some level. It's also better to have a best friend, a best two friends, or two best friends, or three best friends to enjoy life with, and embrace and support each other through the hard times that life will inevitably throw at you. Life is hard. It is better with good, reliable, trustworthy friends that have your back and that are loyal to you, that you can also enjoy and laugh at really stupid stuff with, or they like you say something stupid that you think is absolutely hilarious, and then they're like, dude, that was stupid, but they still chuckle anyway. I'm like, hey, at least you're laughing. I mean, that's fun for me. It's really fun for me. Bringing it back to the question, out of all the friends that you have, who is the one 2 or 3 people that have your back that you can call when you are being ignorant or making bad decisions, but will still hold you to in high regard despite the hardships in your life. And hold in high regard is also a term of still respect, still value. If nothing's bad happened in the last 6 months, you call them up and be like, hey, I just lost my house. Can I stay at your place for a week or two until I get on my feet? You know, and like they'll still value you. They'll still do that. I mean, maybe you don't test them like that, but you know, just bring up the conversation like, hey, if I needed a place to stay for a week or two to get on my feet if my life just crashed, would you be there for me? We are ready for our homework assignments. Actually, it's just an assignment, not assignments. If you do not have requirements for what a best friend is for you in your life, if you do not have requirements for best friends and have a lot, or you consider a lot of them friends, thin the weeds. Thin the weeds. Too many voices in your ear when needing to make a decision will lead you to inaction. If you don't have a best friend, 2 or 3, think of what qualities that you want in your best friends to help you succeed in life. Start out with 1 best friend, then get 2 best friends, then 3. And the people that have a seat at my table, the people that I say have a seat at my table, because that's what it is. If I have a best friend, they have a seat at my table, which means I'm giving you permission to speak into my life when I tell you something and you're like, that is a stupid decision. What led you to that? Like you are doing something, like you follow through with this, you are messing up your life. And out of that, I have 4. I have 4 best friends, but it's taken me, I kind of break my life up into 7 years because that's just how it works for me. So after adult, like 18 to 25, that was first 7 years. Second 7 years is 25 to 32. First set of 7 years, I had 2 best friends. Then then on top of that, in that second years, because that's usually when my life changes in some way, then I have 2 additional best friends. So for a total of 4 best friends. It's just at different parts of life. Like, yeah, I'm still best friends with my 2 original best friends. One of those is my buddy Chris that I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. So you can have more, but start with 1 or 2 best friends. Some people can make best friends in like 3 weeks. I would argue that those are just friends, because if you have too many best friends, then none of them are your best. It's just like if every restaurant is a 5-star restaurant, then no restaurant is a 5-star restaurant. There's a reason why the 5-star restaurants are few and far between. All right. And if today's episode has brought somebody to your mind that would maybe get some value from this and this episode or this content, I would appreciate if you shared it with them, or and if you would like, subscribe, leave a comment, ring the notification bell, write a review this podcast. I would greatly appreciate. I would absolutely appreciate this. And I do appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day and schedule to listen to this podcast. The next episode of Consequences of Communication is episode 6, Building Relationships, Preparing for a Dating Relationship. It's going to be released on December 19th, 1 week before Christmas. Well, like 7 days before Christmas. But still going to be before Christmas. I cannot believe we're already in December. Dang, my birthday is this Saturday. Woo! Happy birthday to me. Anyway, thank you again so much for tuning in. And until the next podcast, enjoy life, take care of yourself, and farewell.